Hello, I'm Brianna Berry, and I am in my second year of the Master of Arts in Political Science program here at the University of Louisville. Welcome to my presentation on my master's thesis research on incidental exposure, political activity, and perceived trust. Just a little bit of information about me, since this conference is virtual and we won't have the chance to interact. I have been a Cardinal since freshman year of undergrad. I double majored in music and psychology and also had a minor in Spanish. After graduating in 2018, I took a little break and then began the master's program in political science in 2019. I've always had an interest in political science and wanted to explore that more and have the chance to do research. I am going to be beginning law school at Brandeis School of Law this fall and will graduate with my JD in 2024. The inspiration for this current study actually came from the American Politics seminar the first week I was in this program. The question, what causes people to stop participating in politics, was posed to us as we read our first empirical political science works. The one piece that stood out to me was the Weaver and Lerman's Political Consequences of the Carceral State. This piece looked at the effects that a variety of in-person interactions with law enforcement had on an individual's trust in the government and willingness to participate in politics. The criminal justice system, and more specifically police officers, tend to be a facet of the government that people interact with on a more consistent basis compared to other departments. They found that the more an individual interacts with the police, regardless if their interactions are negative or neutral, the less likely an individual is to participate in political activities and the lower the perceived trust in the government was for that individual. You can see in this figure that just focuses on probability of voting that even being stopped by the police lowers the probability of voting by almost 10%. This piece got me thinking about how interactions with the police have changed and become more salient since 2010, and how that could have changed these results. The main way I feel that specifically interactions with the police have changed is through looking at incidental versus traditional exposure. Traditional exposure is exactly what it sounds like. If a person decides that they want to watch the news, then they actively make the choice to turn on the news and engage with the content that is there. It's the same as a person seeing an article title and deciding that they want to read more about it, so they click on it. This differs from incidental exposure because incidental exposure removes the choice aspect from the equation. Incidental exposure doesn't have to be to news or graphic events. It could be as simple as using the internet and a pop-up advertisement comes on the screen that you were not prepared for. However, incidental exposure can also be scrolling on social media and coming across a video of your friend live streaming some kind of event that they are witnessing, and then all of a sudden, you are experiencing that event with them. This distinction is the premise of my study. For my study, it was important to look at past research that deals with incidental exposure and the use of the internet when it came to graphic events. The Grizzard et al. Piece exposed participants of their study to various levels of violent content related to ISIS attacks. Participants who were shown higher levels of violence displayed higher levels of moral sensitivity and desires for anti-ISIS interventions, both humanitarian and through the military. The Vanilla and Rosa piece took a deep dive into hashtag activism. The hashtag Ferguson appeared more than 8 million times on Twitter within a month of the incident that murdered Michael Brown. Activism on social media nowadays has a huge role in sparking protest and other political activities around the world that otherwise would have taken a lot more time to spread. Finally, the Tewksbury, Weaver, and Maddox piece, although from a long time ago when it comes to the internet, looked at how the internet has made breaking news disseminate almost instantly due to algorithms that contribute to users being incidentally exposed to more information compared to traditional news models. All of this information contributed to my current study's two hypotheses. First, I predict that individuals who are incidentally exposed to a graphic police brutality event will be more likely to participate in politics than individuals who are traditionally exposed to the event. Second, individuals who are incidentally exposed to a graphic police brutality event will have a lower perceived trust in the government than individuals who are traditionally exposed to the event. I have 3 randomized treatments participants can be assigned to. The incidental exposure treatment is a 56-second long video of a police brutality event. I found this video on YouTube, and it is filmed in a first-person live streaming kind of way. It involves 2 officers, 1 male, 1 female, holding down and punching a young black man, and the screams of 2 unseen witnesses are heard. The traditional exposure treatment is a short news article that I wrote that is based off of this video. It is written in the same format and style that a normal online news story would be written. Finally, the control group is not exposed to any kind of police brutality event, and they are given a short article about the ruins of Pompeii to read. My survey design is pretty standard for political science research. We are using Amazon's Mechanical Turk for our participant pool of only United States-based adults. It begins with demographic information and a measure on social media use. Then it gives participants a feelings thermometer to rate how they feel towards political and social groups. Some of the groups include Republicans, Democrats, Black Lives Matter, and the National Rifle Association. I want to gauge how strongly individuals feel towards Black Lives Matter with this measure to have for a potential bias in the results. After participants are assigned to one of the 3 treatments, they then move on to my dependent variable measures regarding political participation and trust in the government. They are asked about past and future political participation, such as voting, signing a petition, and donating money to a group or candidate. They also answer how they feel about their local, state, and federal governments in relation to statements like, "The people who work in the government have good intentions." Finally, they are asked to respond to statements about their satisfaction with specific government agencies, like the police or Department of Health. My dependent variable measures are all randomized to ensure there isn't a bias in the order that they are answered. I am still in the process of collecting my data. I hope to have my collection completed in the next week or so in order to begin analyzing it and finalizing my thesis. However, I do have some predictions on what I might find. I think some potential limitations to my study is going to be the various events of 2020 being salient in the minds of the participants. Although police brutality is not a new thing, the incidents with George Floyd and Breonna Taylor are still very prevalent, and I could see that causing individuals to answer things in a more polarized way than they naturally would have. I also think the impact of the 2020 election has individuals more on edge when it comes to controversial topics as well. On the flip side, some potential impacts of a study like mine is that we will gain a better understanding of the function social media plays with politics. Social media is already a huge tool for candidates and political parties, but it can have a lot of drawbacks depending on the information that is being spread. Finally, I think specifically with police brutality events, we can better understand how damaging witnessing these events online can impact willingness to participate in politics and overall trust in the government, and stress the importance of change within the criminal justice system. Thank you so much for watching my presentation. I am looking forward to completing my research and contributing to the ever-growing field of political science.